Welcome into another edition of the Stripe Show podcast. It is Froggy Wednesdays. We are coming off an amazing Ryder Cup week, and now we've got a long drive week going on because long drive competition going on this week. But first, before we get started, always want to say thank you to our sponsor, OnCore Golf. OnCore designs high-performance golf balls for players of all skill levels and swing speeds, so you get fitted for your perfect golf ball right now at OnCoreGolf.com. Today, we are joined by one of the longest hitters in the world, 2017 World Long Drive Champion, Justin James. Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, glad to be here, man. Looking forward to it.
I've had the luxury of watching Justin hit balls for probably a little over a year now. I have seen it, and it really is a sight to behold. I mean, to see these guys that know how to move the golf ball at this speed is really, truly unbelievable. I remember the very first time I was out at the Ranger at Palencia, where I'm a member at and Justin practices out of as well. And I just saw this guy over in the corner. Just the ball made the different sound that we all talk about. That when you go to a tour event, you hear that sound that it makes when the tour pros hit it. Well, it was even different than that sound. And that's why these guys move the ball. And so today we'll talk to Justin about what he does, how he does it, and find out if there's anything that you and I, who don't hit the ball that far, can learn. But first, Ryder Cup, man, what an ass whooping we laid on them.
Yeah, that was. I feel like that was just how we have supposed to played like the last 8 Ryder Cups. But finally, the numbers, they finally did what they were supposed to do with the world rankings, etc.
Yeah, I mean, historically, we have not played that well. But I mean, when you looked at it on paper, it was almost like there was no reason to even play this. Outside of John Rahm, they didn't have another player that stood up with anybody we had. And so you felt like it was supposed to be like this, but like you just said, it never really transfers to reality. But I felt like every single guy really played well. I mean, even the guys that walked away with technically on the downside of the record still played really, really well throughout the week.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a discussion last night. I wonder if there was like something with the older guys. I don't know, some kind of weird dynamic or something. Because again, I mean, every Ryder Cup I remember on paper, we should have smashed them like this, right? But and I even heard people at the beginning of the week saying, they're kind of negative, like, we always lose Ryder Cups. We're gonna lose this one. We never practice together. These guys are selfish. Blah 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 blah. And we just did what we were supposed to do. So I think with this new group of guys, it could, I don't know. I guess we always overreact, but I mean, they shouldn't lose anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the core group that we have right now of American players are really, I mean, just truly special athletes. DJ goes 5-0. I mean, the best player they had was John Rahm. Outside of that, Sergio played well, but nobody else really stood tall. Victor Hovland didn't play great. Rory didn't play great. And even our guys, our usual studs like Jordan Spieth had a losing record. Justin Thomas took a little bit to get warmed up, but guys like Colin Morikawa played phenomenal, undefeated, had a tied match but did not lose any. These guys these young guys are just different now than they used to be.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if people actually know how good the guys are. I mean, I was watching like Saturday morning, I think. I mean, no, Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Sunday. I'm flipping back and forth between football. I watched I don't know how many groups in a row where these guys are just driving the green on one. How hard it is to drive a green. They just put it on, no problem. And then obviously Bryson drove that green, made the putt. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's what the guys are supposed to do. That's freaking crazy. I mean, the guys are so good. It's unbelievable.
It is. I don't think the average guy understands how good these guys are. And so speed and distance have absolutely changed the game of golf. And if anybody knows that, you know that. We've seen long drive people for a long time, but now guys who are hitting it really, really far are playing on tour now. Guys like Bryson, who he's able to hit it far and then still play golf. Why don't we see more of the long drive guys playing golf on tour?
I mean, good question. Probably because we're not good enough. But no, I mean, obviously.
I mean, it's a straight answer.
No, yeah, no. I mean, I guess if we could play on tour, we would. But I mean, look, there's some guys who are playing some good golf now. I mean, Kyle's been playing some good golf. I think he's trying to play in some stuff. When I started to do long drive, And look, by no means was I a tour player or anything, but I was done playing baseball 2013. I could say, okay, I could try to go scrape around some mini tours. And again, I was never, John Rahm or anything like that. But this long drive thing popped up. My dad had obviously did it. I've grown up with it my whole life. And I said, hey, there's an opportunity here where I could, do some stuff. I mean, if they're handing out checks for the guy who hits the longest ball, I think I could do that.
Right.
So, but the other thing is, why don't long drive guys play on two? It's a different sport, man. And it's going to be really interesting with Bryson today. I've done a couple interviews about it. Okay, how's he going to do? I don't think anybody has any idea. I could see it where he fills up the grid 5 out of 6 balls and, is very consistent. I could also see a scenario where the guy hits an OB set here or there because it's just a different speed. And then you have some guys who get faster on the tee box. You have some guys who will, set a PR and then be like 5-6 miles an hour slower. And there'll be some guys who are just about the same as practice as they are on the box. Everybody runs a little bit different. Okay. So I don't know what he's going to actually come to the tee box with. Okay. And then this isn't golf. There's a shot clock, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 6 balls. There's 3 other guys around you hitting balls, screaming. There's music playing. So it's very, very different. And, like a long drive swing for me, and again, I'm no tour player, but the golf game is very, very different. People ask, hey, there's a 390-yard par 4 with water on the green. You hitting that green? Like, absolutely not. I'm hitting an iron off the tee because, my long drive swing is designed to get, 1 out of 6 balls in play, hopefully more than that. But for absolute distance, it's drag racing. It's not NASCAR. It's not a marathon. It's 100 meter dash instead of, let's say golf is at 800 or a marathon or whatever. It's just different. A lot of we're still running in both races, okay, but it's a different skill set for sure.
So this week's event, how exactly will this week work? Because like you just said, it's very different than a normal golf tournament that these guys are into it. So how does it work this week as far as, are there pairings? Are there groupings? Will you be playing with Bryson? Are there different levels? Are there different, exactly how does it work?
Yeah. So there's different formats, different events. What we're going to do for this event and on this tour, the Pro Long Drive Association, is a points format. So we'll have 16 guys. I think there's 5 groupings of 16 guys today. Okay, so 12 out of those 16 guys will advance. And then I think tomorrow they might take half. So 16 for 8 spots. Basically, it goes points. So you'll hit against everybody. Okay, there'll be 4 guys on the tee box at once. The first place winner, I think, will get 200 points. Second place is 100. And then down the line, okay, you add that up at the end of 5 rounds that you hit, and the 8 to 12 longest guys advance the next round. Okay, when you get to the final 8, then you have 4 guys on the tee box, and you go 4 spots for 2 advance, 4 for 2, 4 for 2, and then 2 for 1 to crown the champion. And that's probably confusing to some people. What you've seen on television is it's been a points format, and then when you get to the final 8, it's been straight up match play. Okay, so there's different ways to do it. But the misconception, it's not just, hey, let's line up 100 guys, take your best shot, longest drive wins. It's a process. And this one's taking the course over 4 days.
Okay, so there will be cut downs every day. There will be people knocked out every day.
Yeah,
but just because you finish,
you make them cut. Yeah.
Now, will the points race start over every day as a new points race?
Yeah, so this is a group of, however many guys there are, and then it goes to probably 64, and then it'll go to 32, and then it'll go to 16, and it resets every day, which, there's no perfect way to do it. They've done more cumulative formats. They've done, one of the downsides of match play was, and it kind of still is, you can dominate the whole way through, right? If we're speaking golf terms, you can shoot 62, 62, 62, and then everybody's even Stevens the last day. So you can win every round and then get clipped by 2 yards the first round of match play and go home in 8th place. But again, there's no real perfect way to do it.
Yeah, it's the same way with the FedEx Cup. You could win.
Yeah.
You could feasibly win every single tournament all year long, get to the FedEx Cup and win every single tournament, and then finish 10th the last week and lose.
Yeah.
But like you said, there is no perfect way.
The difference is you're still making a pretty good living out there if you do that. Out here, you can go home with 0. A little
Yeah.
bit different.
But that is a little bit different. What does I mean, you've got some big names in this event. You've got Kyle, you got obviously
Mhm.
Bryson. You're a former champion as well. So does it help to have Bryson? What does it mean to pull him into this event?
Well, I think we're gonna find out. Obviously, you'd rather take him than not. I think. Look, Bryson. I like Bryce. Cool guy. I've talked to him. He's always been really great to me. He wants to come hit, so come hit. I think it's gonna. Everybody's saying eyeballs, which is totally true. I'm hoping it'll do great things. The sport is. Look, it's popular. It's very in demand. Okay, everybody's talking distance, and obviously what Bryson's doing, and we've had the discussion before. I think the demand's there more than ever. It's just going to take the right, I don't know, promoter, principal group, or whatever to push it with the right format, the right business structure, whatever, to really bring it into the mainstream. Once upon a time, that was Golf Channel. They didn't do the greatest job in the world. I guess, debatable. Don't want to cause any controversy, but they got rid of the World Long Drive Tour. Now we're on to something else. So I'm hoping it'll bring some eyeballs, bring some interest, and the reality, from what I've seen year after year after year, people, if they've seen this thing in person and you've seen me hit balls out there, you go, oh gosh, this is a little bit different. This is pretty cool. And you go to a competition, a lot of people get hooked because it's a good time, and especially when there's four guys in the box, they're going back and forth hitting drives. This guy goes 401, the other guy on his last ball goes 403. That guy gets bumped from first to second, points going all over the place. It's a
Wow.
very, very exciting format, and people didn't always get to see that on television through the Golf Channel product. So I don't know. I'm hoping, obviously, for big things because it's still popular.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves the long drive. I mean, if you go to a tour event now, what was the draw at Bay Hill? The draw at Bay Hill was to watch Bryson try to drive the par five
Of
six, which
course,
I also saw you have done as well.
yeah, I did it from a tee box way back there. So, but humble brag, but that really wasn't humble.
No, not at all, but that's
from
okay.
where he was hitting it from, I kept like hooking it into the water. I hit one over the green, and so I had to move back a little bit. But fortunately, I had a puff of wind that was down. The backstory behind that is I don't think Golf Digest did it. I believe. I don't think they cared whether I hit the green or not. They would have totally hung me out to dry. So I think where they moved me was like a 386, 390-yard carry over the water. Okay. And they just filmed. And when I was up on the forward tee boxes, 340, 320, they said, hit the green. I say, okay. So I pull out like a stock driver and I'm hitting it over the green. Okay. And I say, okay, now we can move back. They, no, 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 you got to hit the green. And I'm like, what do you think? I'm Ben Hogan? Like, give me a break. So I finally, I heel cut one onto the green. They say, okay, you can move back. And when they release the video, they're showing every shot. And I say, man, if I wouldn't have hit that green, I hit it on the a third or fourth drive from back there because that
Right,
was more of my speed. Just grip it and like let's freaking go.
right,
And I nailed it on like the fourth shot, I think. And I'm thinking they would have totally hung me out to dry because
right,
if it would have been into the wind, because people don't know. I've done a shoot out there before with Golf Channel, 50 degrees in January, blowing into the
right.
wind. They give us 3 golf balls and they say, okay, put it on the green. They say, I'm not the Iron Byron, like what are you talking? So I was fortunate we had just a puff of wind that was down, so I was able to hit that green. It would have been a long, embarrassing day.
What does your training program, like I said, I've seen you hit golf balls, so I know what you do, but I've seen you with the ropes that look like they're attached to the front end of the golf cart that you're doing, and I've
Mhm.
seen all the stuff that you do. Can you explain to people exactly what your training program consists of, that all that you do to get ready to hit golf balls?
Yeah, I guess I can try. I don't know if I can do it exactly, but because I do a lot. The truth is, I do a lot because I played professional baseball. I grew up in this thing. I've grown up in a strength and conditioning family, so there's a lot that I just do as part of my normal day that I guess I take for granted. But off season, I'm very big on strength training. I don't think there's enough done in golf, and people are like, well, strength training, that's simple, but I mean getting fundamentally. And cohesively stronger. There's a lot of in golf, a lot of mobility training, a lot of kind of fluffy stuff. And that's not bad. I don't say that in a negative way because a lot of people need more mobility. Okay. But the foundation of all of it is strength. And you gotta, as you age too, you have to keep your strength levels up. People also, there's a misconception to hit the ball long. you need a huge amount of tension in your body at the right places. Okay, so this hold it like a baby bird, and the softer you swing it, the farther you're going to hit it. It's just not true. Now you need to be loose in the right places, but you need to be tense in the right place. So when you start the downswing, okay, the quicker that you can produce like a maximum amount of tension, the faster then you're going to be able to let that club swing and relax. And so I do a lot of kettlebell training. Okay, kettlebell training, you have to, it's a swinging movement like a golf club. So it's not just like a 400-pound squat where it's tense all the way up. You have to contract and relax and let that thing swing. There's a rhythm, a dance, and a balance. But I try to hit all ends of the spectrum. So strength training, and what I would really call it tension training. So stuff on like a TRX suspension trainer to teach my body to kind of for maximal tension in the right places. I do like power training with the kettlebell stuff. Again, that's like my athletic training where I'm learning to sequence properly. I do some movement stuff. As a former pitcher, I throw quite a bit, right? Just keeping that athleticism, sprinting, and then the stuff you see with like the ropes. Again, I'm hitting all ends of the spectrum. So I'm doing the heavy stuff, but I'm also doing fast and explosive stuff. And I'm just trying to stay the best athlete that I can be. And for people at home, you remember Cody Bellinger, Mike Trout there at Topgolf. They hit it over the fence. Everybody freaks out. They start analyzing the swing. To me, golf instructors, people in the golf world miss the point because they start to break down Mike Trout's golf swing. Mike Trout doesn't know anything about a golf swing. He doesn't care about a golf swing. He's an incredible athlete. He knows how to sequence and exert power in the right places. So that comes out in his quote unquote golf swing. So if people focus a little bit more on athleticism, on sequencing, on being able to swing a kettlebell and proper hinge and squat patterns, a lot of the things that they struggle with in their golf swings would take care of themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how much it does go into it because me, when I go to the range, I pretty much do the same thing every time I go to the range. But I see you on the range, you don't do the same thing every day. You've got a regimen that you go through, and my guess is some days you don't even swing all out. Some days, is that correct? You don't go 100% every time you head to the range.
Yeah, no, I don't. And I've been doing it a bit. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I feel like I listen to my body, quote unquote, a little more than other guys do. And again, I talked about earlier with Bryson, everybody's a little bit different with what they bring to the box. A guy like Kyle, a guy like Will Hogue, Martin Borgmeyer, I've hit with these guys. They're just fast all the time. Okay. I tend to, be slower in practice. Then I get some adrenaline. I get faster on the tee box. So I'm a little more cyclical, like with my training too. I get bored a little. I don't run as hot as these guys. These guys are always just like ready to go all the time. Right. And I'm just
Right.
kind of more relaxed. And so I change things up quite a bit. But again, our goals are different. When I'm cracking those ropes, stuff like that, a lot of that's to like wake me up to get me going. Like if we're pitching, you see Justin Verlander's like fastest in the ninth inning, right? Throwing 100 miles an hour. And, so I take a little bit longer to warm up. So that stuff kind of helps accelerate my warm up. The stuff with the ropes kind of really helps reinforce sequencing instead of just grabbing a golf club right away, getting a little bit technical, do some athletic stuff before. I think, Mickelson used to mess around throwing a football before he play and stuff. I think all that stuff is good. And, a lot of guys get very technical with their warm-ups and very specific exercises. I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se, but like, if we're just warming up, we're just warming up, right? Let's move around a little bit, be athletic.
Right. How much technical stuff does go into your swing? How much are you worried about whether it's on plane or whether you're shallowing it or all? I mean, how much do you worry about that, or you don't? It's more speed.
I do quite a bit. It's just, look, it's really hard and I found it challenging. Um, you know, worrying about that stuff, or I'll just say a lot can go wrong at 150 miles an hour, right? Like how I swing it. And
Is that
people
your
see
club head
that.
speed?
Yeah, it'll be 145 to 155. So hopefully on the 150 side, or it'll be a short day. But yeah, I really pay attention to trying to keep the club in front of me. I'll just say, like, anything that goes wrong with your golf swing at home is probably going to go wrong twice as fast with mine, because hitting a lot of balls, going as hard as I can. I mean, you know how hot it is where we practice, stuff like that. So, my old man will keep an eye on me. He'll point things out. He pointed one thing out before I left. I think is helpful. Just, coming out of my posture a little bit. But, look, we don't want to go over the edge because what I do is a little bit unique. I don't need to be swinging like Morikawa, as much as I love his swing. I would love to hit it straight, but, we have a little bit of a different goal. So
Right.
the main things are, hey, let's just keep it on plane. Let's keep it working in front of you. And that's going to give you your best chance to, consistently hit it where you want to. And what's really important for us is that launch window that it's coming out of. As much as the person at home thinks that we spray it all over the place and I think this is a good analogy. We hit onto a football field. Okay. So imagine your high school football field, but now put that 400 yards away, just kind of floating in the ocean. And
Right.
that's the grid that we have to hit. It's 50 yards wide roughly. And then, football field's 100 yards long. So, you would think, okay, you stand on a football field, all the room in the world, stand 400 yards away, quite narrow. So from that dispersion rate, if you pull it a degree or push it a degree, chances are, especially with rollout, it's going to miss the grid. Because all the time we hit the grid, you hit a little cut, you hit a little draw, and it's going to roll out. So to hit that grid, very, very difficult. And then especially, again, 1 out of 6 balls, we're just going for that one massive shot. So, a heel cut's not going to do you any good out here where you can get away with that, hit a heel cut, knock it on the green, 2 putt for par. Now you're off and you're ready to go. You need that one monster shot. You need to link everything up. So there's layers to it, and it's difficult.
Now you've got an internal governor. I suspect that you have to break from time to time because you've got,
Mhm.
80, 90, 95, 100. And I'm guessing that if you really need it, you get up there on the tee, you need to swing 110%, give everything you got. You can do that. How do you go about breaking that internal governor and then maintaining still at the same time a healthy golf swing to not hurt yourself?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. And, when I got into long drive, I hit inside into a net. That's something Bryson's done as well. I don't have as much success with that anymore. Like I'm just, it's a different phase in my career. So I like to hit outside more. I think, it's about a couple things. And people ask me this question. I'll tell people like get caffeinated, honestly. You've got to be in the right frame of mind. You've got to be in the right state. Don't go try to set a speed record when you've been drinking the night before.
Okay.
So like I'll hit later in the day. I feel better later in the day. That's when I like to train. I think, there's been research that I can't quote right now, but you're stronger a little later in the day versus like early in the morning. But whatever makes you feel optimal and feel good, having an energy drink or whatever. And again, don't do this every day. But when you're speed training, you've got to get in that zone
Right.
and then break through those barriers. And for the person at home, you've got to be on a launch monitor that's reliable. So, what I often recommend to people is, in Jacksonville, there's a place, Coastal Indoor Golf. They have several TrackMans and they have a GC quad in there. If you're trying to get faster, maybe every 10 days, go in there and spend an hour or two. Your ball speed might start at 145. See if you can get to 155. Because when you start at 145 and oh man, I stroked that. That was really good. The next one, you're like, oh man, that wasn't quite as good, but it reads 148. Well, what did you do on the 148 that you didn't do on the 145? Repeat that, then get to 150 miles an hour ball speed, then see if you can get to 155. Now we maybe get some adrenaline going. People would be surprised how much they have in the tank. And people have asked me, like, with Bryson, do you think Bryson's doing anything nefarious? He's got so much longer. I say no, guys, because the dirty little secret in golf is that you can all hit it longer, but you guys never do because we're not taught that growing up. You're taught, low and slow, swing. If you want to hit it in the wind, just everything you hear is swing easier, right?
Right.
And there's a reason for that because of the older equipment, whatever. But today we teach our juniors swing as hard as you can early. And obviously Nicholas was taught that as well, because you can't start to like speed train when you're 40. You can't get that back. It's like learning a language. So, but people, still today try to hit it farther, swinging 70, 80%. And golf's unlike any other sport in the world. Okay. If I was a high school football coach, I had a kid run a 4.8. I said, Alabama's interested if you can get down to a 4.4. He's going to go sprint. Okay. If I've got a collegiate golfer and say, look, you can play a tour. I need you, 330 off the tee. Right now, you're 270. They're going to go do some stretches. They're going to seek out a new instructor. All you got to do is go to a range once a week, swing out, try, push the pace, go sprint. Now, you don't have to play golf like that, okay? But if you're on the course, your ball speed's 165, okay? Let's say you have a 165 average. This has been true for a lot of tour players. And you go to the range and you work up your PR, your personal record, to 185. Now, when you go back to cruising speed on the golf course, you're going to be 170, 175. And that's really the secret. Go sprint, so then your jog, right, is faster. So you need to take yourself from a V6, or a lot of y'all are a V4, and you need to get that V8 or V12 engine in there. So all of a sudden then, driving from Mesquite to Las Vegas like I did now, 200 miles an hour is no big. I wasn't going 200 miles an hour, but the point, you do that in a Toyota Corolla, there's going to be a problem. You're going to have a breakdown.
Right.
You do that in a Corvette, not a big deal, right? So
that makes sense, though.
With golf, yeah,
it makes sense. So that was my next question: is what can an average amateur, somebody like me who hits it 250, what can I do to hit it further? I know I'm never going to hit it 430 or 400, but what is something I can do, anybody else can do, to make themselves a little longer, but yet still be able to play respectable golf?
Yeah, look, getting stronger, getting fit, getting in shape, come see me, do my Swing Strong 90 program. I mean, that's all good. But at a basic level, guys, get stronger. Okay. And I'm talking basic strength training will benefit you. All right. Systematically, 6 months from now, you're 10, 20 pounds stronger with every different lift that you do. Okay. And I won't prescribe anything specific right now because it'll make somebody mad. Oh, I do this stuff. Get stronger, and then, go swing fast, every 10 days, once a week or every 10 days. And again, there's facilities around you all over the country that have a TrackMan, or, I use a 4-sided GC quad, and go spend 60 to 120 minutes hitting drives, seeing how fast you can get. You might gain 1 or 2 miles an hour a month, but 3-4 months from now, holy crap, you just got a lot longer. You're hitting it 20, 30 yards longer on the golf course. Other thing you can do as a part of that, you start to optimize launch and spin conditions. Okay. So I tell people all the time, you've got 30 yards in the tank right now, because if I optimize your launch conditions with your equipment, okay, and then I just get you swinging a little bit more athletically. Hey, let's load the trail side, explode into lead side. You've got 30 yards. I think, again, blanket statement, most people, everybody I work with has 20 to 30 yards in them. It's just, do you want to use them?
Wow, that's crazy. Now, I know you've also worked with some tour pros. I know Russell Knox, who lives here in the Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra, St. Augustine area. You've worked with him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was one of those guys too. I think he came in first time, 160 to 165. We were out in and Russell was, how do I say it? He was not a guy that tried too hard, right? But that's what makes him good. He's so low key. So right. He was not doing the Bryson, hitting the driveway, and by no means, guys. But he got swinging a little bit more athletically. He worked on strength training a little bit, training with me. And without even really trying, he went from like low 160s. He hit 179 ball speed in Palm Springs. And I go, okay, great. Now, and this was in a couple shots. I say, now it's time to bust in the 180s. Let's go, bud. Because I thought that day you had 185 in him. He goes, oh, no, we're good. So he has so much speed in the tank. And he was a guy there. This is a good example. He's probably, ball speed on tour. He's probably, 3 to 5 miles an hour faster now than he was. Okay. And we got him to where if he wanted, he could have probably been 10. But it was a happy medium for him. So that's a really good example, especially for the better players listening. They're like, look, I really can't afford to spray it around the course. In response to that, I would say, number one, most of y'all don't hit it far enough to worry about the dispersion rate really affecting your game, because you're going to go from middle of the fairway to first cuts or you just don't hit it. There's a reason Fred Funk, Jim Furyk are the straightest on tour. They don't hit it very far, right? No disrespect to these guys. But a guy like Cameron Champ, and a guy like Bryson, they need to worry about their dispersion. And Bryson's been very, very, very intentional the whole time about not losing any accuracy. I think that one plane move that he did certainly helped. And he used very little face rotation through the ball. He's always been very, very intentional about that. But so for the person at home, I would say, don't really worry about the dispersion. I would rather have you 30, 20 yards close to the green all day in the first cut of rough for the courses the normal people of the earth play on than being in the middle of fairway. Because, hitting 8-iron rather than 5-iron, I think is going to help you a lot more. I think the statistics would back that up as well.
Right. Now, as far as your golf clubs, your driver that you will use in competition this weekend and that you use all the time, how different is that than the driver that, say, somebody is using in a PGA Tour event like Bryson?
It's way different. Now, I mean, I will say Bryson's been using lower loft out there. I think he's using a 5-6 degree driver. But, for me personally, I'm going to use a 4 to 5X shaft at 3 degrees. And so now, and that's, not because I'm cool. Other guys go the opposite way. They'll use like a senior flex shaft. Kyle Berkshire, Martin Borgmeyer, Josh Koch. And
how do they not snap in half?
They sequenced it up. They have really great timing. And I pull a little harder with my hands. I need something that's more butt stiff. And I've just found more success with a stiffer shaft. They have found more success with a softer one. So all shapes and sizes, but everybody's loft is going to be 3 degrees. These are drivers they're drag cars, or drag racing cars, not touring vehicles, right? So It's different. They're not built for accuracy. They're built for 1 out of 6 and, hit that 450-yard drive. So very, very different.
Now, Justin, what are your stock yardages? Like if I said to you, what's your 8-iron? What do you hit your 8-iron when you play golf?
Probably 180 yards. I'm very normal on the golf course. I don't swing it. Now, if you ask Kyle.
Hold on. Let me tell you something real quick. 180 with an 8-iron is not normal.
Well, I mean, what Bryson's hitting his 8-iron, like, I don't know, it's on the 220 the other day, something stupid. So I don't swing. I grew up playing golf. I don't swing that hard on the golf course. Again, I just don't run that hot.
So you have a different golf swing when you're either whether you're on the range or you're in a long drive competition versus when you go play golf.
Yeah, and just when I'm playing golf, I just don't get that much adrenaline, to be honest with you. I mean, even with a driver, my ball speed will be probably 190. I mean, at most out there, it'll be 205, 210. I mean, but I play pretty fairly normally. Where a Kyle or obviously Bryson, they're just freaking moonshots, launching it everywhere, and so it's just different ways of playing the game. I'm a little more traditional.
What do you think the long drive competition as a whole, the sport in itself, needs to prosper, to whether get where it once was with World Long Drive or even get further than that as we move on? Because social media has to be good for World Long Drive.
Yeah, I think it just needs, in my opinion, but one guy, a promoter, some ingenuity. Look, we all have ideas, but we're busy trying to do it. And, we got families and, I think it just needs a very creative kind of business mind to really take it to the next level. I don't think that, the Golf Channel days is the product to shoot for necessarily either. I think it could be 3 times that size, but look, this is a very entertaining product and people want to be entertained. And so the formats have to reflect that. The venues have to reflect that. I don't think it's overly difficult to do, but in my opinion, we should have a variety of different venues. Some should be on, I think most should be on actual golf holes. Some should be on, grids like we are this week. So mesquite or soccer fields, they're multi-purpose. They're soccer. It was built for the World Long Drive Championship back in the Long Drivers of America days. But, so it's a grid. They're soccer fields. So I just think you should have a variety of different venues and formats and tournaments. And I think you need to bring the entertainment factor to a maximum. So, look, I wouldn't care if we try to hit a golf ball across Niagara Falls or something, or the Grand Canyon, but, people just want to be entertained. And I think it's very easy to do with guys like us. There's only a few guys in the world who can do what we do, and we entertain people anyway. So I think that's really what it needs.
Now, this week, tournament's going on. how do we watch it? As somebody who's into it and loves the sport and wants to see it, what's the easiest way for us to watch it?
I think it's going to be on the Pro Lawn Drive Association YouTube. I think they're going to be doing it live all week, live streaming. I've seen some camera crews here. They're starting to come in as Bryson's getting ready to hit. But I don't know exactly all what's going on. But to my knowledge, they're going to live stream it all week. And then beyond that, I'm not sure.
All right, we'll make sure to check it out. Once again, you can hit Justin anytime. He's on social, on Instagram at Justin James Golf. I know you mentioned you've got a training program as well. Where can somebody find out about that or even take part in it?
Yeah. Oh, that's Swing Strong 90. So that's actually a collaboration between myself, Ryan Steenberg. He's one of the other big competitors here, Cassandra Meyer on the women's side. So it's a pretty good program. You can actually do at home. Has some of the kettlebell stuff, the band stuff, mobility stuff. And it'll definitely get people started in the right direction. So, people want to get longer. I think, combination of that and then just going out and kind of executing once a week or every 10 days, you'll get a lot longer than you thought you probably could at no matter what age, 6 years old, 60 years old, 90 years old. It's just about, swinging hard and you got to use it or you lose it. So.
All right. Well, Justin, good luck this week, man. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you do well. And do you have some more tournaments on the books? Is there other stuff coming up? Because I know that it's ever since everything's happened with the pandemic, long drive's kind of been quiet. So it's nice to see it kind of ramping up again.
Yeah, it's sort of up in the air. I mean, this is the big event of the year. This kind of introduces the off season. But, I think everybody's figuring out after this what's coming, down the hopper. We'll have to see the reaction, with Bryson competing, what media outlets are going to be here, et cetera. Usually this season is going to run from probably March to October. So we'll play a lot of golf in the off season. We'll have to get out there, tee it up, and go from there.
Oh yeah, I'd love to, because I'd love to see your 80% swing has got to be further than my 200% swing. So I'm interested.
We'll see.
But Justin, I really appreciate your time, man. Good luck this week. Do well. We'll be pulling for you. And thank you to everybody for listening to another Wednesday edition of the Stripe Show podcast. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks. See ya.
Good luck, man. Go hit it far.
Will do.